English language learner. So he was smart, but he was struggling. He had different issues. But people called him stupid because he was Asian and was in the CP class, just a regular class. Like, boy, you should be an AP. You're Asian. Are you serious? Like, it's like, are your parents gonna be okay with you in this class? Like, that's exactly the mindset that everybody has. And it's crazy, but there's also was like, what, one Asian kid in our class? There weren't that many like Asian Americans represented, so where are we going off of? We're going off of social media because we don't have a big body of Asian Americans around at all districts, honestly. We don't have a large amount of African Americans. Let's see if this here, I don't think I've seen one black kid here. Like, it's like if you don't have that amount like of knowledge, you don't have that luxury of having that, then you're gonna go off of what the media gives you because you guys don't have kids from Chicago to tell you that, yeah, like when I was in school, one of my teachers said I was going to college. That happened to me. When my teacher said I wasn't going to go to college, he was like, why aren't you doing it's like, oh, why couldn't you get this question? It's like, were you not studying? He's like, I mean, regardless, it's like, you're probably not going to college. He was like, probably not going to go to college. Community college is definitely good for you. But he's like, but I mean, you got to care if you want to get a real job regardless. I was like, oh. He said that in front of my whole class. My whole class started laughing. They all started laughing at me. And I was in math. I was already struggling. Do you think that made me want to work harder in math? No. Now I'm an education major in language arts, not math. I'm not that bad at math though. So, yeah, that was a mean comment, but yeah. I'm sorry, did I even answer one of you guys' questions yet?
Yeah.
You went to mine and stuff.
Yeah. So in the book Dear Barton, when Justice, the main character, is stopped by the police officer, he runs through a list of things to do before the police officer interacts with him, because what to do if he gets arrested or anything, where to put his hands and everything.
I still have it. I think I still have mine. I have like a little pamphlet with me for when I get encountered by police officers. I don't know if I still have it. I should have separated that out, but yeah, I have a pamphlet for minority and police partnership. And here's a to-do guide of what minorities, you guys want to pass that around, of what to do when encountering a police officer.
Did your parents teach you and say anything to you? Like were you ever raised to did they ever teach you how to handle situations with people in general, or should they profiling you, or just maybe interactions with cops in general?
Yeah. They taught me how to handle situations, and it wasn't as much as oh, if this happens, but they just kind of informed me hey, this is the world we live in. Especially when I went to college, I got called the N-word by a lot of people, especially my freshman year. And at first I was I got really mad. It really just irritated me because, from Chicago, it's you don't really have to worry about that as much. But then when I went to college, it happened. But then, after, the 18,000th time it happened, I was just all right, shut up. Because at the end of the day, you can say that word all you want. I don't condone it. It's not a word that I appreciate. It's not a word that I'm going to just go around oh, this is our word. No, it's not. It has a terrible meaning behind it. A terrible meaning behind it. No. If you guys want to call it that, okay, I hope you made your day I hope you made yourself feel better, but But my parents taught me a lot. They wouldn't let me grow my hair out. This is the longest I've ever grown my hair out. They didn't let me grow my hair out when I was a kid because they want me to depict something that I wasn't. If I had nappy hair, I had braids, if I had a certain hairstyle, then people would put me, I would be more racially profiled. So they didn't let me grow my hair out for years. So I didn't get to grow my hair out until I was in college. I couldn't join a track team or the football team because they didn't want me to join a sport that majority African Americans join. So I had to play lacrosse my freshman year in high school. Did varsity of that, got knocked out. Didn't do it after that. I was like, I made varsity. 2 seconds in the varsity game, get sandwiched by two well, I don't even remember what it's called at that time, but defensive players, and I didn't do that anymore. And then I joined the swimming team, and I know black people can swim, but I couldn't, so I didn't continue that. I was like, no. I didn't like the Speedo either, and I was getting beat by little kids, man. I was like, man, this is just not my sport. I did track, loved it. I loved it. Didn't tell my parents though. I hid it from my parents for a year, and then after I made varsity my sophomore year, I was like, Dad, Mom, it's like join the track team, and then they were like, well, can't you do fencing? Like, they tried to get me to quit, and I was like, man, I don't want to do fencing. It's like it's like it looked cool, but I feel like I would, I would get really mad if somebody just and then I just lost. I was like, man, I didn't even get a chance. I just spent all this money on this saber. It's like, come on. So they wanted me to quit. Like they didn't want me to do it. But then they started coming to my track meets. They're like, oh crap. I was top 10 in the state for 3 events. They're like, okay, like. You can continue. Got a full ride scholarship to Western Illinois, and it helped me pay for college. At first, I wasn't going to go to college. I was going to go to the military at first, because a lot of people in my family went for the military. Then I got a scholarship. I was like, no military, thank you, because I didn't want to do that in the first place. So, yeah. To answer you guys' question?
Yeah. My brother actually did the same team, and he did really awesome. Yeah, when we went to his games, it definitely got rough because he played it for a very long time. It was bad.
Yeah, I was a midi.
Boys not wearing their cups and went wrong from there.
I have a quick question. So, in our book, Justice, like he starts to like a white girl, but then he goes, he can't like a white girl because mama wouldn't like that. Has your mom ever like said if you brought home a white girl, like would you get in trouble or would she not like it?
It was never that. My parents were surprised when I brought a black girl home as a girlfriend. They're like, she's black, what? They was like, it's like, Kendall, I didn't think, like they didn't care at all. They really didn't care. My family is accepting, but I will say it is different, and that's just any race. If you switch, cultures, because every culture is different. Believe it or not, every culture is different. There's things you guys do at home that I'm like, what's that? You guys would come to my things. You guys come to my family reunions or my holidays. You're like, what? They do that? That's crazy. And that's any culture, honestly. So when it's different, anything different is gonna make people like uncomfortable. So if I brought a white girl over and it's like, oh, this is my girlfriend, my parents, I don't think they would have been surprised because they thought that in the first place, but they would have been just accepting. But also in our culture, we do like to say like, hey, it's like, are you sure that she's gonna understand what goes on? And that's the biggest question. Are you sure she's gonna understand everything? Is she going to, did you guys see the movie Get Out?
Yeah.
All right, that movie was hilarious for that part. Like, every black person laughed at that because you could relate to that. Like, it's like, oh my God. It's like, did you tell them that I'm black? Did you tell them before I go in there that I'm black? They're like, oh, why don't I tell them? Then you go in the door and they're like, it was like, didn't expect that. I guess, it's just funny, It's like, because you're not expecting it. That if I say, oh, I'm bringing my girlfriend over, they're going to be like, okay, they're going to expect a black girl to come in the room. But if I come in and she's like Arabian, or if she's Asian, or if she's white, they're gonna be like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but they will not be mad.
Yeah.
Some families though will be mad. Now, that's any race. Some families will be mad, and that's just off of their families, and that's just how it is. Some people are like, no, my family's not gonna have that. No, like African Americans aren't smart enough. That's gonna mess up our genes. Like there are people that do believe that. My family just wasn't one of them.
Okay.
In our, in our book, the main character, Justice, is accused of hanging out with white people just to be successful. Has anything like that happened to you? Or have you seen it happen? If so, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. I think I still do it now. But it's like if you hang out with, so in our culture, in African American culture, in school specifically, we know that school is not really for minorities. Like what we learn in school is not always for minorities. But there are great teachers that make the curriculum more relatable for minorities. So if there's a math equation and you guys are talking about, I don't know. Okay, so if it was flipped, right, and now you guys had a black teacher, right, and you guys were in a math class and you guys were talking about like how much crawfish you put in to make gumbo, you guys would be like, what? But everybody else would be like, okay, you get a family serving. It comes in a bag. There's gonna be about like 60 of them. So it's like if it's probability, then it's like that. That's how the curriculum will be. The curriculum is not based on stuff that's necessarily in favor of our culture, or minority culture, but it's based off of European American, white America. That's really what it's based off of. So a lot of people see that, and then minorities don't always have the best ways of getting to college, getting to higher education, to getting to be able to expand their mindset all the time. So you have some minorities that don't take school seriously. When I was in middle school, I did not take school seriously. When I was in high school, I didn't take school seriously. Honestly, sorry to say that, but that's just how sometimes it is. Sometimes our culture is not always for education, but if you hang out with more white people, you hang out with Asians, and you kind of diversify yourself, you're not hanging around just one crowd of people. I'm not saying like all African Americans don't take school seriously, but I'm saying that in our culture, you will see a lot of people in the minority groups that are struggling more in school. So if you are, honestly, what my parents told me, if I hung out with like white people in school, then my teacher would notice that, and while they're grading their paper, they'll grade my paper and be like, oh, well, probably worked on it with him. Well, I'll kind of sway the grade a little bit. And that's what they told me. Do I know if that's true? No clue. But I will say my grades have looked spectacular since I tried that. And I think it's just off of who you hang out with, though. It's not a racial thing. There's smart every race. Actually, I had a story to tell you guys off of that. But you guys can ask me another question because I lost it.
Well, in our book, Dear Martin, Justice, the main character, is writing a diary to document his life. So that if he can help him process situations like this negative interaction between a cop and another classmate. Have you ever thought that way or done something like that in connection to your life experience?
Interact with a cop, have a negative mindset.
Yeah.
Yep.
Writing to someone or writing a diary.
Well, my story, I wrote a story that got published. It's in a college textbook right now, Dr. Hartlip, and it's about social injustice and things along that regard. And I'm sorry, repeat that question. That was a really good question. I want to make sure I answer that right.
In our book, Dear